Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Conant Show number 40. 40 weeks of this. And skipped a week or two here and there, but you know, life happens. And put my sunglasses slash hair restrainer on here. I don't have a guest tonight, so you're going to have to put up with me for an hour. And I wanted to do a show on animals, so I brought some of my photography of the animals that live up in our surrounds here in Woodstock and in some of the hills of the area here. And I guess the idea is that, you know, we have our neighbors. You know, I did the show with the mushrooms and fungi and animals, you know, all kind of together as our neighbors. But one of the photographs, and I hope that it's loaded onto this onto the file that I just put onto the computer here.
Do you want the one ending in woodpecker? They're all a whole bunch of strings?
Yeah, that's.
Or the folders?
No, not the folders. The folders are something else altogether.
Okay.
It should just be. Well, you could open a folder and see what's in there. I think it's a document. Oh yeah, okay. You want to close that, or either that or delete it. That was research.
Right, research.
Yeah. Well, I do oil. I do use them for oil paintings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here, you've got rabbits
There you go.
in one of the folders. So I'll just open it up a folder at a time.
Well, there shouldn't be all just folders. There should be.
No, there's a lot of the other ones. But in order to set it up, I need to put it on the desktop.
Yeah, I would just don't do any of the folders. Just the photographs.
Don't do the folders?
Yeah, just the photographs. So, welcome to Conant Show 40, and this is Woodstock TV, and we're on the solstice, I believe, tonight. Summer solstice, longest day of the year, shortest night, and so all of you out there that keep track of those things and celebrate them, you know, celebrate it. I'm wearing a piece that I want to share with you guys. You know, this vest, everything about it has a story, and that's kind of what you do when you decorate your clothing with your own artwork. and in my case, you know, this particular vest goes right back to really among one of the last times that I saw my dad. I only saw my dad in his later years, probably 3 or 4 times between, say, 1972 and when he died in 1985. So I didn't really get a whole lot of time to hang out with Dad, but one of the trips was out to Wyoming, and I got to visit with my dad's quasi-relatives out in Laramie, Wyoming, and they were really quite lovely people. They were connected to the Hearst family, the big publishing and family, and the gentleman's home that I visited was Dewey McConnell, and so these were, you know, kind of big politico types of Wyoming, and well-established families there. And one of the things that they were involved with was these hides, and they gifted me probably 5 or 6 skins. And these were very, very nicely tanned hides, not hand tanned. They were definitely industrially done, but it was still a very nice gift. And I didn't know what I was going to do with them at the time. And I was, I think, 22 years old, and it was the occasion to be in Wyoming was my brother John's funeral. And so it wasn't the happiest reason to go visiting out there. Sure. So it's not quite loud enough. I'm sorry about that, folks. How's that? We getting a little bit better signal? I'm not talking as loud as I usually do. So the vest itself has an interesting kind of story because it didn't become a vest very quickly. I kind of hung on to the skins for a couple of years, not really knowing what to do with them. I really wasn't involved with handcrafts very much at the time. And then between 1982 and 1984 is through a series of really kind of magical events, I encountered some native people in Hopewell Junction, New York, at what was called a Medicine Wheel gathering. And the Medicine Wheel gathering was put forward or sponsored by a Chippewa fellow by the name of Sun Bear. And how I even got to this thing was really kind of a funny story. I was very ill between 1979 and 1982. And in those 3 years, I had been also very politically active with the Mohawks. And that's a whole nother kind of story, how I got involved with them. But in any event, I had gotten quite ill, and it was my girlfriend Roseanne and I made the decision that I wasn't going to go to doctors, that we were going to deal with it by going to the health food store and getting books on health and curing yourself and seeing if anything would work. And the nature of the problem was twofold. I had a recurring abscess in my leg that was quite poisonous. I had acute toxemia, and it had been lanced and drained and all that kind of thing, but I was still quite ill from the poison in my blood. And the other issue was colitis, and I was quite ill from that. I'd lost a lot of weight. I was very, very thin. I think I was about 150 pounds, and I'm 6'4". I'm a big guy, so I was quite thin, and that started my journey into the wonderful world of healing books. And if I could drop a couple of names of books that I highly recommend that we discovered at the time. One was by Jethro Kloss, Kloss, Back to Eden, which was published, I don't know, in the 1930s, 1939 maybe, I'm not sure. And it was a compendium, really, of herbs, how to pick them, how to prepare them, how to combine them, and how to use them for almost any illness and condition, that you can think of. It is a really wonderful book. And Dr. Jethro Kloss was a real, medical doctor, but he had also took it upon himself to study the medicine plants with the native population of Wisconsin, where he grew up. And this would have been, perhaps in the 1890s, this kind of thing. And so he put this recipe book together, really, on how to cure yourself with herbs based on this medicine knowledge of the indigenous people of Wisconsin, Michigan, and the surrounds, Great Lakes region. And his own discoveries, so he really built quite an amazing resource for the average person to have access to medicine ways that are practical and really work, So there was that, and then there was another book called Our Earth, Our Cure, which included a lot of remedies involving poultices and clay and things like that, which was another remarkable book that was great for drawing poison out of the skin. In my case, I had an abscess that was recurring because of toxicity that I was exposed to when I was in high school. I had a job after school in a factory place in Ramsey, New Jersey, called New York Twist Drill. And I was exposed to trichloroethylene, tetrahydrochloride, lead, asbestos dust. I mean, I was, anybody that worked there really was damaged by these chemicals. So between these various books and, Carol, Roseanne, she was such a cookbook kind of a person. So she was a scientist in her own right in her later years. So she just sort of applied this recipe, follow the recipe, step-by-step attitude, and, had great fun concocting things that tasted terrible. And but I was a good experiment to work on, because I was willing to do anything to get well at that point, because I really was quite ill, and I did get well. I mean, here I am to talk about it almost 30 years later, or 30 plus years later. So what this has to do with my vest? Well, it was all kind of leading up to getting that terrible phone call that my brother John had died, and that we would have to go out and be with the family. Roseanne didn't go because she couldn't afford to fly out, and my family flew me out as we all gathered. And then when I met my dad's other kind of family, the McConnells and the Hearsts and all these people, they just were so warm and friendly, and they gifted me this pile of skins. And then, because of all of this going to the health food store, this place called Organica in Tappan, New Jersey, I got on a mailing list, and because I was on this mailing list, Sun Bear's advertising crew got a hold of my name, and I got this flyer, and I decided to go, and that's where I met real wonderful South American native who this lady was the granddaughter of the last shaman, medicine man of her people down there in the northwest part of Brazil, Fatima. And Fatima sort of took me in under her wing. She was my senior by about 10 years. And so I really was unfamiliar with this culture that I had stepped into at this point. Even though I had been with the Mohawks for a couple of years, I really didn't, it was my first time I did a sweat lodge, and it was the first time I, participated with a variety of ceremonies. And this is where I met Grandma Twyla Nitsch. And of all of the presenters at Sun Bear's Medicine Wheel gathering, this is where we heard Grandma Twyla speak. And what really struck us both was the purity of her message. It was just so positive and so uplifting, and we kind of both silently made a decision that we would seek Twyla out in the future. And then after the gathering was breaking up and Fatima was going her way and I was going my way, we agreed to keep in touch and get back together. And the next thing I know is Fatima's calling me saying, "Hey, pick me up at the train station in Danbury. Let's go to see Grandma Twy in Boston for 3 days." And so we did. And that began a whole journey there with my being invited to go and live with the Seneca after the third day of that event. Grandma Twy was just sort of gravitated to the two of us and asked me specifically if I would come and learn. And I said, "You mean just leave pots and pans on the stove and pack up and go?" And she goes, "Yep." And I said, "Okay." And so I did. And that's how I ended up, in fairly short order, making this vest out of those skins. So Grandma had, you'd almost call it like a ceremony, but not really, where she gathered all of us up that were living on site and said, okay, we're going to make, a traditional outfit. Now this is just the vest. I have the whole thing. I have the leggings and breechcloth and the whole traditional thing, the moccasins. We made all of the articles, and yeah, and we Twyla and I went to what's the big leather shop? That big. No, it was out in Buffalo, but they're all over the place. Leather. They were really popular for about 20 years, but it was a leather supply, commercial, Tandy leathers. And so we bought cowhide splits because that was the closest thing we could get to deer skins, in terms of weight and texture, but affordable because leather is a very expensive thing. And so we got a whole bunch of the stuff so that all of the students that were participating with this making of a traditional outfit, Seneca outfit. There he is. Isn't that cute? That's our friend there. I wanted to talk about him specifically too. But anyway, so I elected to make my vest out of the hides that were gifted to me by my dad and his friends. So 30 years plus, I've had this vest. But it doesn't stop there, because everything means something. So I'll take it off. I'm going to show you the back of it. Strange way to get out of something. There you go. So, all right. So we're going to zoom in on this, and this is where my art school training really took an interesting turn. And that is beadwork. And when you hear stories about how, look at how beautifully that zooms in on there, on how,
it even gets through the sabotage.
yes, how the Indians sold Manhattan Island, for handsfuls of beads, that old story because, well, let me tell you, there's a bit of truth to that because once I got into doing beadwork, I was hooked. I mean, I'm just always really looking for beads, when yeah. So when you get serious into beadwork, it's addicting. I mean, you end up beading till 4 a.m, and you just, honey, stop doing that. And it's like, just one more bead, and you get into a flow, you get into a meditation, because the real traditional beads are made from wampum shell, which is a kind of a mollusk shell that each bead is cut by hand, with implements that you make out of stone and a variety of bone or stone materials to make these beads. You have to make a drill and these are very fine implements that you have to make if you're doing it real traditionally. I mean, to make a single bead was not easy, folks. It was a lot of commitment. And if you're going to make a beaded article and you need, say, thousands of beads or, at least hundreds of beads, you're looking at a commitment of time that could take years. So when these wampum belts were made as a record of the agreements between the fledgling United States and the Haudenosaunee, the five-nation confederacy, that was a huge meaning. That was soaked in meaning, and it was soaked in commitment. And that's the level of commitment that the Haudenosaunee, the five nations, had in keeping their word, in keeping their agreement with the newcomers.
Sure beats circumcision.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother story. Now, what you're looking at on
But
screen,
has some skin in the game? In other words, this is consideration for a contract.
yes, and 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 my beadwork, is how can I say this? It's not perfect. All right, I don't do perfect work, and traditionally speaking, you shouldn't be doing perfect work, because the only thing that does perfect work is the Creator, is the great mystery. And so if you do a piece of beadwork that's really like really perfect, then the idea is, well, you better put a couple of beads in there that are a little messed up, just to make sure that it's not perfect. And that's kind of a traditional thought about the humility that we should always have and maintain in the scope of our place in the world and in the universe. So this, like I was saying, now this vest has meaning, all kinds of meaning, every part of it. So the skin itself, now the front panels are made from pig skin, and pigs are kind of omnivores. They're opportunists. They're survivors. They're tough, That's all right. We're doing good, and that's sort of like a resourcefulness and a strength in that. If you know anything about pigs, they're tough and they're dangerous, and they will protect themselves and their families. So they're protectors' energy. And then the back part of this is antelope. Now the antelope has horns, and the horns are for protection. So there's that. And they also are very light of foot. They're like deer. They're very healthy. They're very sturdy, and they are very fit. So there's a fitness involved. And when we talk about the symbol of what I had beaded onto my vest, because now I'm decorating the vest that I made, and this puts into my vest a sense of purpose and identity. And this is partially from a dream, but it's also a real traditional image as well. Now the wolf face is my name, Tayuni. Tayuni is wolf. So I'm the wolf, and I follow the wolf clan. And this particular image that I beaded onto the vest is the medicine wheel as a symbol. And the medicine wheel can be thought of as medicine equals spiritual, and wheel is the way. So it's the spiritual way. And this is a device that keeps us with knowledge. So there's 4 quadrants. The white quadrant represents the north, and that's the snow. And then you have the yellow quadrant, which represents the east, and that's the sun energy. And then the red quadrant is the summertime, and that's the feminine energy. So the yellow is the sun, that's male energy, and then the summertime is things are growing and things are fruiting and this sort of thing. So there's the feminine energy is the red, and that's the south, and that's also our lessons. And then we move up to the other quadrant that's framed in black, and black represents the night. It represents autumn. It represents the going into the dream time. So you have a balancing of everything. You have the 4 seasons represented, and then you notice those other colors inside each quadrant, 3 in each quadrant, represent the months of the year. All right, so it's a calendar as well. See how this is a really very, very well thought out and powerful tool to remember the spiritual ways of the people. So when I wear this vest, this is like my Sunday going to meeting clothes. You know, this is a commitment to remember what I was honored to be exposed to and to learn about, which is the medicine wheel of the Seneca. And this is considered to be among the oldest philosophical systems that is kept in real completeness and in its entirety. So, you know, to move around the wheel, and see if I can get my hand in there. There you go. There's a finger, right? I got to go opposite what's so counterintuitive. This is January. And what happens in January, is the learning. This is the month of learning. So we learn from our parents. So it's relationships. And our first relationships when we come into the world is our relationships with ourselves. That's the first one, you and your own heart. And then the relationship of your family, which is your mom and your dad, and by extension, the rest of your relatives. So that's what January is about. And then if you move on down to the gray field here, that's February. And so first we learn the truth through our relationships, but then we have to make friends with the truth, right? You honor the truth. And in so honoring the truth is you have to sort of cooperate. And that is, you know, symbolized also by animals. So each of these positions have an animal involved. All right. Now the first one is the little bear. Is at January, and it's all about family. And if you study bears at all, they are very human-like in how they teach and all the things for the little animals to do, for the cubs to do to survive into their adulthood. So that's mom and dad and the baby, right? Learning the truth. So there you go, and there they are. There's Mama Bear teaching her little cubs there, you know, the ways of the forest. And then in the gray field, that there is the beaver. Now the beaver teaches cooperation and working together and being industrious. And that's why and in working together, you have to be friendly with each other. You can't, you know, if you've ever been on a job site and somebody's just barking orders at you, you know, it doesn't make for a cooperative feeling tone, and it makes for workmanship that has less enthusiasm and joy in it. So that's why, you know, cooperation and working together and this kind of thing is honoring the truth. It's honoring each other. Then we have the brown, and that is March, and that represents, you know, the turning over of the field, the springtime, the getting ready to plant, and that warm earth, you know, as the snow has melted away, and now the days are lengthening and all of this kind of thing. And so you have in March is also in the east, and that's the eagle. And the eagle is very important here because it connects the grounded energy of the earth to the high elevated thought of the sky, so that the eagle is thought of as a messenger to bring the high ideals of the great mystery of the Creator down to earth, so that we can make a connection with that and learn from it. So that's what the spring is about. There's this kind of illumination and getting ready, you know, the planting time and this sort of thing. And then moving further down, this is so weird. The blue there, that's in the 4 o'clock position. If you use it just like a clock, it's also a clock. See, this is what's interesting. The medicine wheel is a philosophical tool that's also a calendar, and it's also a clock. So moving at 4 o'clock there is kind of a light blue, and that is seeing the truth. And that position is held by the hawk. And the hawk, if you know anything about hawks, hawks have very acute vision. They can spot a mouse from miles away up in the sky and then and pounce on that mouse and get dinner. So the interesting thing about this is vision, this part of the philosophy. And in this vision is seeing the truth. And that vision includes our material vision that we see with our two eyes, but it also includes our dreams. So a lot of people who are born in April are dreamers, and they are interpreters of dreams. And that's what the Hawk clan is about. So we're also talking about a school system. All right? Because each of these clans that are represented are like extended families, and they are involved with holding the knowledge. So going around the wheel, the Bear clan at 1 o'clock, the Little Bear they call that, is the clan that is all about family relationship and family working together. Then the Beaver at 2 o'clock, the Gray, making friends and cooperating and being industrious together. That's taught by the Beaver clan. And then the Eagle is a spiritual guardian of the East. So that's not a clan. And then the Hawk clan down there at 4 o'clock in April, they teach visions and dream, and so they hold that as a discipline, you see. And then the Black at what would be May represents listening. So first you see the truth, and then now you listen to the truth. Now this is how the sequence goes, starting at 1 o'clock again. Learn the truth, 2 o'clock. Honor the truth, 3 o'clock. Know the truth, and that's what the Eagle does. It brings knowledge. And then at 4 o'clock is see the truth, and that's the Hawk. And then at 5 o'clock you have listening for the truth, or listening to the truth, and that's the Deer. And the Deer is real interesting because it's got the big ears. So it's all about listening, harmony, rhythm, and physical fitness. They are also the teachers of physical fitness, the Deer clan. And there's our friend the Deer. And, I like this photograph, folks. What I really like about this is it's a buck with his horns in velvet. So those horns have just grown. They've grown out because they grow every year, and then they lose them, and they have to grow back again, which I find really remarkable. They must grow awfully fast, which I just can't wrap my brain around. But there they are. They're all kind of soft and fuzzy. But what got me about this little fellow is that, he kind of came up and said, "Would you take my picture?" He got right up close to me, and the feeling that I get from his eyes, really, he's really communicating something there. What it is in his little deer brain's going on, I couldn't tell you, but I was really moved by it. And when I look at this picture, I see a sense of, we're brothers, That's kind of what I feel the Deer is saying here. He came out and said, I can see that you're not going to harm me. So, and by the same token, I was appreciating his beauty. I mean, this is such a beautiful creature. And that's kind of what, I like to say to people is that, we are beautiful creatures too. And that, if I were to have a message for you folks, is that we do matter, everybody matters, all right? And we all make a difference if we choose to make a difference in the world, to make the place a better place. So if we want to go back to our medicine wheel, because I would like to get through. We got through half of it. Now we got to the yellow. Let's see if I can find it. There, I got to go that way. There's the yellow. That little field there is now... Oh, wait a minute. Did I skip one? I skipped the red. All right. June. June is in the south, and that represents blood, the feminine energy, and it also represents the porcupine, because the porcupine teaches us lessons. It's the prick of the quill that draws blood, and there it goes. That gets us up off our behinds. That's so cool that you're doing that, Paula. And I'd like to thank Paula Gloria Barton for teching for me tonight. I forgot to do that at the beginning, but I didn't forget altogether. And so the porcupine teaches the hard lessons in life, you know. So you can't sit still for too long because that quill is going to get through your pants and get to you. So you got to get up off your behind and move down the path of life and get things done. So there that means business. And that position is now that you've learned the truth and you made friends with and honored the truth and you know the truth, and now you're listening to the truth, seeing the truth, and then listening to the truth. Now you speak the truth. And that's number 6. It's halfway through the wheel. We're speaking truth now. And I can't tell you how important that is. In terms of like, if there was a criminal code amongst the Haudenosaunee, lying is right up there with rape and murder. They really didn't see the difference because lies can lead you over a cliff. Lies can lead a whole village into despair. So, that's the connection of that thought of how important it is that we walk that fine line of truth in all that we think, say, and do. So that's what speaking the truth and the hard lessons in life are all about. And the thing is that if you get a hard lesson and you don't learn that lesson, you don't learn from that lesson, you're going to keep getting the lesson. It's just going to change its shape. It's just going to keep coming back until you get it. And that's kind of how that works in life, I love this idea that the universe has only one answer, and that's yes. So whatever it is that you're thinking, you better be careful about what you think and how you think it, because the universe is going to deliver what you're thinking. I've seen it come true in my own life, and I've seen it happen to other people. So, that's not a great measure, and I don't have huge statistics, but just from my own personal experience, the elevating my thought and thinking about certain elements to my life, if I'm feeling sorry for myself and feeling rotten about how everything is, it seems to get worse. And when I start thinking positively about things change.
And that's what the wheel helps.
Well, that's part of the lesson of it all. So now when we move into the red quadrant, and then we see the yellow there, that's the sun also, but it's also love. And this love here is, I'm trying to think what is represented there, is the heron. Okay, so this is the heron clan now. And that love, heron is a bird that happens to like to fish. And this is all about taking care of animals, animal husbandry, and agriculture, and making sure that the village has enough food to get through the winter. And that's why there's love there. And it's also July, that's the hot month of the year. So the sun is there and it's love. And, the sun can give you a sunburn. Well, love burns too. So love is a very, very powerful energy. And so that's how we think about that. And now sure. Now the blue, let's see if I can, the dark blue, that is, let's see, July moves on to August, correct? Okay, and that's the snipe. And the snipe is a secretive little bird. And this is all about teaching and service and action behind the scenes. You see, the snipe clan is about getting things done in service to the community and service to each other and and teaching the little ones without, a lot of fanfare or anything, because the snipe is a bird, and it's a little marsh bird. No, that's a very greedy little bird. And I think that, I don't know what that is. Could be a junco, but juncos don't go on the thing. They're usually on the ground. But he's a fat little fellow. But the idea here is that this is, the light blue was sort of like the sky and vision, but this is the waters now. Okay, see, so you have the elements involved. And the blue of the waters of intuition and teaching and service and doing things subtly and behind the scenes and all that is a reminder of all of those qualities and being mutable. It's like part of that capacity of the snipe is to be able to adjust to its surroundings and be invisible within it. And if you ever study how water is quite interesting because it takes the shape of the container you put it in. So that's a good lesson for us. So if your reality has changed in some way and has been impacted upon you in some fashion, well, you have the choice to either fight that condition, or you can go with the flow, so to speak, become like the water, follow your intuition, and change your shape to the situation that you're in. I don't know if that's clear to you, but that's kind of the idea. And then moving on to the green is also in the west, but it's also the harvest, and that's living the truth. So there's serving the truth, there's loving the truth. This is now starting in July is loving the truth. August is serving the truth. And then September is living the truth. So you see there's an evolution here, starting all the way at one from learning, now you're living it. You're living what you learned. And then that green represents the harvest. It represents the plants. It represents the abundance of the autumn. And that really is kind of what life is about. It's about always preparing for the hard times, for the winter. And that animal of that area is the bear. So the bear in the west gets ready for the long sleep and is the keeper of the dreams. So you have the that's not a clan, it's a spirit clan, you could say. It's a guardian of the west. And then moving on up into the next quadrant or section would be 10 o'clock, and that is October, and that is the hands, you see. Both hands. You got 5 fingers, and it's creativity, and so it's doing crafts, that's working with your hands. So the color there is sort of a pink or a flesh color, and I'm using translucent beads, so on camera it's looking a little kind of washed out. And so at 10 o'clock, at creativity, we have the turtle. And the turtle teaches the moral code. It's kind of like the turtle is almost like a law keeper. And the turtle is really an amazing creature because it teaches the moral code because it carries its house on its back. And that's a beautiful thing to think about, and especially in this day and age when we're really starting to think about mini houses. Everybody, I've had a couple of people ask me to build them mini houses, these, portable little houses that aren't really trailers. and they're just one really efficient room where you can sleep and eat and and have one book on a one book shelf. So that's kind of interesting, this idea that our morals are taught by the turtle clan, and the turtle is self-sufficient, and he has no enemies. They're really quite they live for a very long time. They're full of wisdom, and they don't have really any natural predator or enemy. And so that's the turtle clan, and that's October, and that's creativity. And moving on to 10 o'clock, we have kind of a silver color or a crystalline color, and that's magnetism. We're attracting and releasing, and that is the wolf clan. Now, the wolf clan is sort of preserves all of the knowledge from all of the other clans, so that if any clan is lost, the knowledge will still be kept. And in fact, all of the clans have that responsibility, because, as I was saying earlier, this is also an educational system. And I'll touch on that in a minute. So that's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock is the wolf clan, and that's sharing, it's attracting, it's magnetism. And at the top of the wheel at 12 o'clock is December, and that is the moose and the buffalo. And that's, again, a spirit clan, and that's purple. And that purple represents the blending of all the colors. And that is healing, and that is gratitude. So now, as the education system goes, when a child reached the age of 3, their parents would ask them, where on the wheel do you want to start your education? What clan do you want to learn from? And so the child would say, well, I want to go with the wolf clan. So they would start way over here at 10 o'clock. And this is also how the village would be set up. So you would have from the north an entryway, from the west an entryway, and from the east over here you'd have an entryway and a path to the central fire where this my emblem of the wolf is, and then of course the south you have an entryway there. So that's also a layout of the village, and each clan would occupy an area associated with that direction. And what happens is the child then for 1 year goes and lives with the wolf clan, but then goes around the whole wheel and lives with each family or each clan one at a time. So if the child starts over here, they're a year with the wolf clan, and then they go over to the bear clan over here. And the bear clan also is interesting. It's not only relationships, but it's relationships, your cosmic relationships. The bear clan is the medicine clan. They keep all the medicine plants and stuff, so they know that knowledge. And then you go on to the beaver clan, and then and around the whole wheel until you've had 8 years of education. And after 8 years of education, living with a clan for each year, you are a pretty well-rounded person with a working operational knowledge of your people. And that's how the Seneca specifically had their education system. So this what I'm sharing with you tonight is what I wear on my vest is the knowledge that I was really honored to have and learn from all of this and incorporate it in my life. And so that's why I say when I put this on, I'm pretty serious when I put it on. It means a lot. And it means that I have to be truthful in my thoughts and keep my thoughts in a good place and share truthful information and in a good way. And that's kind of the connection, our cosmic connection is represented here through all of these animals. And that's why this symbol, for those of you folks who go to powwows and stuff like that, and you see this symbol of the circle with the cross through it, that's the four directions. That's the circle is the cosmic universe, and it is a method of knowing who you are and where you are in the universe, with your feet on the ground and your head held high with truth and harmony. And how that works is when we approach a council meeting and we have an opening ceremony, we come together in one mind, one voice, one heart, and one law, which is the center. It's the cosmic law. And in our world, in our man's world, man's law is a mere reflection of cosmic law, which is the real thing. So we're imperfect beings, and we do the best we can, and it is up to us to really make the effort to grow, and growing up isn't growing old. That's a little line from one of my tunes. And what I'm trying to say here is that the pure positive message about the medicine wheel is that we have the opportunity every day to make the world a better place. That we can learn from our ancestors, we can learn from our parents, we can learn from our adversaries. Absolutely everything that we are confronted with or that we are exposed to, every moment we have an opportunity to make better, to make a better feeling, to make a better thought, to make a better action. And I've been rambling on for quite a while here, and where are we at, Paula?
5 minutes.
5 more minutes? So, I'd like to, thank specifically Bill McKenna for really paying attention to the veterans, Joe Barton and others in town, and making a space for them to be able to vend their wares without incident. So that was pretty cool, and I want to put a shout out to Bill McKenna that it's noticed, and it's really appreciated in a big way. And I'd also like to put it out there that we would really like to see our little studio here elevated to a higher quality, and really we don't need a whole lot. I think what we just need is to get a digital program and computer element to replace the old analog equipment that is at this point kind of failing. We have good cameras. We have parts and pieces that don't need to be replaced, but in order to really put a professional show together for, at least, clean signal, so to speak, really does need to be addressed. And I always like to, if you care about public access and freedom of speech and, citizen reporting, because that's what we are, it would be really great to support the town and let them know that you care about our studio here and that you would like to see more great original content from our local TV producers. So on that thought, I'd like to just sort of close with a real sense of accomplishment that we are making a better world, in spite of no matter how bad it seems. And that's what Grandma Twy used to say quite a bit. She would say that her grandfather would say, don't get excited, don't get upset, stay collected, don't panic, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how bad it seems. The solution to our collective problems is available to us, and it comes right from the center of Turtle Island, which is North America. And there's a whole nother story that I have about that, but the point is that we are doing ourselves a real disservice when we live in fear of all of the bad advertising, of all the terrible things that are going on. What we need to do is remember that, there is a higher authority than man and the machinations of man-made machines. And that cosmic law, that energy, is very, very loving. It's a frequency. And that love energy surrounds us in every living thing, every tree, every blade of grass, every bunny rabbit, every eagle, every frog, every bacteria. We're all part of that sacred web, that web of life. And, it would be really kind of a wonderful thing, wouldn't it, if we could adjust our society, our civilization, to those tenets of cosmic law, of not taking more than we need and not using more than we need and giving back and sharing. I mean, I've lived on top of a mountain alone in the woods, and I got to tell you, it's a lot more fun living in the village. And so, let's live together, folks. Let's work it out. Let's make our little bit of a world around ourselves a better place, and move it out from there. And on that note, thank you for tuning in to Woodstock TV. This is Conant Show. This is the 40th one. So thanks for keeping me around, and I'll be back next week.